Ranting Blue Penguin. Tim, you can find me Ranting Blue Penguin Media, RB Penguin Media there on most of the socials. Now on Blue Sky, thankfully. Someone got me a code, so we're on Blue Sky. We're here tonight, though, with Dei. She is the president of the Royal Guard Supporters Group for the OL Reign. Dei, welcome.
Hi, Tim. Nice to meet you.
And finally, we've been trying to connect for a little bit, so it's absolutely, I've been anticipating this, getting to talk to you and getting to talk really about your club. And that's the whole purpose we're here is let's talk about the Reign. Let's talk about what draws you to them, why it's good to be a supporter, why that is the club that if anyone wants to support, let's support OL Reign. So we'll start with, if you don't mind, a little bit about you and how you got into being a supporter.
Yeah, so I have been here in Seattle for the past 8 years, I believe. I came for college and I just stuck around because I got a job here. And I actually got into the Reign because a coworker of mine was a part of the supporters group. And we were talking about soccer, and I was talking about, I played soccer in high school. I really loved it. I wish I could get back into it. And my coworker was like, well, hey, I am a big part of this thing, our local NWSL team. You should come down for a game. And I was like, oh no. At that time, when I started supporting, we were still in Cheney Stadium in Tacoma, so it was a bit of a commitment to get down there and get to the game. But once I went, the atmosphere is really what drew me to keep coming back. Even though it was in Tacoma, I kind of came in like mid-season 2021, and I went to every home game after that. I started a little carpool with some other supporters group members, and we all came out. And I just really loved the atmosphere. I loved contributing to the atmosphere in a meaningful way, being there, leading the cheers, feeling like I was part of like the in-group of the OL Reign supporters, and really leading the charge on bringing more people in and helping them cheer and having them really give the energy and support to the team was super important to me.
Did you watch a lot prior to going to a game? Did you see anything on TV? Were you a follower of men's soccer or college soccer or anything?
I was not. I will say personally, I'm actually not a big men's soccer fan.
Fair.
The vibe is different.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That I've experienced, and I really enjoy seeing people whose experience I feel like I might have shared, even in some small way, going out there and succeeding and playing a beautiful game.
Yeah. So you get down to Tacoma, you see the atmosphere, and then all of a sudden they're going to move to Seattle, and I bet you were ecstatic over that. And
amazing.
I know Lumen Field's reputation, especially as being a 49ers supporter in football, it's hell going up there. It is terrible going up there and actually playing a match against a rival. Did it amplify the atmosphere for you guys when you switched? Did you notice an amplification or anything?
Absolutely. Having it be in Seattle made it so much easier for more folks to come out. We went from averaging like 3,000 people a game to probably about 7 or 8 overnight. It was really cool to hear folks come in and, the stadium reverberating a little bit with their excitement, their enthusiasm. It is a bit of a challenge because we don't fill up the whole stadium. So sometimes it can feel a little empty, but we are working on it.
Enthusiasm will make up for numbers in a lot of cases, absolutely. So then the club itself, it is a founding member of the NWSL, and obviously you were not around when they were founded, but it's gone through a couple of ownership changes now, and we are looking at another ownership change. And that's one of the big things that I look at, especially when I'm looking at a club, is can I trust the owners? Can I see the owners? So what can you tell me about the current ownership group? How much interaction do they have with you guys? How much do they get out? I know they're from Lyon, so it's a French thing, but do they feel like they're part of it?
So up to this point, I've really only been in this. I've been in the Royal Guard for a couple of years, and then this role specifically for less than a year. And in that year that I've been in this role, they've been selling.
Yes.
So I don't have a ton of experience with their community engagement. As far as working with the Royal Guard specifically, there hasn't been too much engagement as far as like the team itself coming down to work with us. The front office, our local, managers have reached out to us and we've collaborated, and that collaboration has increased exponentially from 2021 when we were in Cheney to now. They've been putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort investing in both the fans and the community, doing lots of camps, doing lots of PR events, going to things, joining in parades. So I think the engagement and the investment has really ramped up as we've kind of gone. I think the move to Seattle signaled to the team like this is a big deal. Even when we were in Tacoma, it was easy to think like, oh yeah, there are national team players on this team, they're super great, but it was kind of easy to think that they were small time because they didn't have the appropriate playing arena.
Right.
But moving to Seattle was like, oh no, these people are big time, and we need to put in that investment.
Yeah, as I recall, they were down there at the AAA baseball stadium. Is that
Correct.
they were playing with the Rainiers, which it's where my home club, third division, men's league. They play in a AAA baseball stadium as well. So I get that it would feel a little small time. So I'm glad that they at least made the investment and said, hey, we're going to bring this back to Seattle. What can you tell me about? Do you have any trepidation and worry about the new ownership group? And I know they haven't announced anything, and obviously, if you're in the know at all, I'm not asking you to say anything. But do you have any trepidation on who the new owners might be and how invested they might be in the Seattle community?
I will say yes. Yeah, we do. I think our number one fear is that they want to move the team. I feel like we've made a very good showing these last 2 years being in Lumen, and showed that we do have the fan base here to support having this team and to continue having it in a large, like, world-class stadium. Yeah, we're just concerned. There was a lot of comments when OL took over and they changed the name from the Seattle Reign. We were kind of like,
yeah,
they changed our logo, but now we're attached to the logo and we're still Reign. So we really are committed and connected to keeping like the Reign identity, and we want to make sure that whoever comes in and takes over that ownership is just as committed to maintaining that community, that environment, and continuing the community outreach events that they have already started these last couple of years, and making sure they're moving forward.
Right. Yeah. And looking at the attendance numbers here, you're averaging right about 8,000. You capped 10,000 for the last home match. Those are not bad numbers. You're sitting about middle of the table for the rest of the league, but they're not bad numbers. And they are showing the commitment and everything else for all of that. And that's one of those important things too. Is if you're going to have a team get up and move and all of that, disrupting the support base, disrupting all of that type of stuff. Do you think you would follow if they moved?
I would. I'm committed. I really love our players. I love our coach. And like I said, the vibe, the environment, and the people there are just important to me.
Have you just curious? Have you managed to travel and get to any of the other NWSL stadiums? Any other?
I have personally not yet. Mostly because I hate to think about stepping foot in Portland.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Yeah, there have been a couple opportunities, but one of the things that we as the supporters group are working on building is getting a supporters group like coalition to go to some of these away games. We went from, I'm gonna say, like 5 committed, active supporters group members. Like, there were people who joined, but like they didn't help lead, they didn't volunteer, they didn't help set up or tear down. 5 to 10 maybe in Cheney, to a much larger group joining us in Lumen, which has been amazing. Our volunteers have been so awesome. We could not do it without them, and our collaboration with ECS, the Sounders men's supporters group, the Emerald City supporters, has been amazing, and we've grown just a bunch. Sorry, just a second. Are you coming up? Yeah, okay. This is my
One
cat.
one more supporter. Hello.
Yes. Wolf. Wolf. Wolf would support soccer if he knew what soccer was, but he's not gifted with the cell.
Fair enough. So so that I guess we'll segue into you mentioned the supporters group of the Sounders. Do you have a good relation with them? Do you have a good relationship with the Sounders as far as the men's team goes? With the Seahawks even for using their stadium and all of that. How's the relationship around that going?
I can really only speak to our relationship with ECS,
Okay.
mostly because I'm not really. We as the supporters group don't really have a relationship with the Sounders or like the team, the Sounders and the Seahawks. It's more through Lumen Field that we like peripherally interact with them. So with ECS, it has been great. We have a lot of people who are both ECS members and Royal Guard members. They've done, they've been super kind to us in bringing us in, excuse me, helping us, learn the ropes, how to be a bigger supporters group, which was not something we'd ever had to deal with before.
Right.
So they've been super kind. They've given us tips and tricks. They've allowed us to piggyback with them, especially at the beginning when there were some things that we were like, we don't even know what we can ask for or what we can do. They really shared their knowledge and brought us in, which was amazing. And I'm so glad that we have those relationships and look forward to maintaining them.
And I'm assuming that also means the tailgating is pretty good for the games and everything else. They help you out with that and get the party going.
Uh, that is like one part we are not as good at. We are working on it.
Right.
I think our fan base is a little different.
Okay.
So when we do like pre and post funk options, we're usually looking for places that are family friendly, that folks can bring their kids to if they're interested. And just based on the nature of our supporters group leadership, most of them have like other commitments out. Obviously, everybody has
Yes.
other commitments outside of the Royal Guard, but uh, sometimes it's just not something that we have prioritized yet. We're trying really hard to bring it in.
Hmm.
And for this next home game on the 3rd, Megan Rapinoe's last, we are planning to do, uh, we're planning like something the day before
Hmm.
for like all of our, we call them guards afar. So
Right.
folks are traveling in for the game. And then we are planning on trying to do some sort of like little post funk at a local establishment that we partner with.
Just something to kind of keep the party going for her as long as possible. Kind of the last
Yeah.
straw. And
It also
there's
doesn't.
nothing wrong with
Sorry.
that.
Yeah. I was
There's
gonna say it doesn't help that Lumen Field doesn't allow tailgating.
mhm, yeah,
So when we do have events and stuff, we do have to do it off-site.
right. And I'm guessing the local business and everything else, you've got a decent relationship. You found places to have watch
Yeah.
parties and to do all of that stuff. Um,
Yeah, we've got some great local partners both in North and South Seattle. Were you from Seattle, Washington? You mentioned your home team.
my home team is Union Omaha. I am in Omaha,
Oh, okay,
Nebraska.
okay,
But
got
and
it.
my professional teams are varied across the states. How did somebody who wound up in Omaha end up as a Detroit Red Wings fan, as a 49
Mm,
fan, as an Atlanta baseball fan, and so it is wide and varied.
yeah,
But understanding that, especially having a small child myself,
mhm,
that family environment is like that. That's what's there. You're
yeah,
bringing them to the game. You're sharing the game with them. You don't need it to be a just completely raucous party, but at the same time, you still want to have fun and be able to enjoy it. So
yeah,
there's absolutely nothing wrong with the hey, we're going to forego this. We're going to go hit this nice establishment. We're all just going to hang out together.
yeah. And we do have some really good community partners. A lot of local uh,
Hmm.
pubs and bar areas or like local businesses have agreed to like give Royal Guard members discounts if you
Good.
show your little membership card. And we do host watch parties both in North and South Seattle.
Hmm.
Just ask where you live if you know anything about the geography of Seattle. It's very long and skinny and difficult to get from one end to the other. So we try to host multiple when possible to allow folks from different areas to come. We partnered with more guards afar, people who don't necessarily live in Seattle but live in the Sound area, to host watch parties. We have some in Bellingham. We've had some in Kitsap. We have some in, I always mix this up, Bellingham and Bellevue. Not the same city.
No, no, and I hate my browser history because that is the suburb of Omaha that I live in is Bellevue, so it always tries to give me Bellevue, Washington, and maybe it's trying to tell me something. I don't know, but yeah, beautiful country up there too, and it is spread out. And you did mention the guards afar. Are there any that you know of? Are there any like offshoot supporters groups or just groups of people that support the Reign outside of the Washington State area, outside of the Sound area?
Absolutely. The first one that comes to mind is we actually have a guard who lives in the UK.
Oh,
and she flies over a couple times a year to watch the games. In 2021, when the restrictions were still on, she did this roundabout way to get into the US because you couldn't fly from UK to the US, but you could fly to like Barbados and then fly into the US. So she committed and she came.
fair enough.
And yeah, we also have a pretty good relationship with I just blanked their name. The women's team that OL owns in France. The Lyonnais Féminine.
Yeah, Lemonade.
Yeah.
Lyonnais Féminine.
Yes, that would be the one. We've had a really good relationship with them. We are in pretty good communication, and we had some of their members come over this last year, and they gave us their scarf for the year that they had all the players sign. It was really fun, and we trade back and forth. We talk. When we're over there, we go say hi. When they're over here, they come say hi. So it's been really cool.
It sounds like you're going to miss that too when they end up. I don't give the Spirit Squadron all of your secrets since they're taking that one over instead. But it sounds like you got a great relationship outside. Very personable. Lots of things to look forward to there. So let's get into the crest and to everything else, because you did mention changing the crest because you had the Seattle Reign and it was beautiful. The crowned woman and the long flowing hair and the blue, and then you how do you feel about Pringle? And I did read about why he's called Pringle. If you care to share.
Yes. Yeah, so we call the new logo Pringle. I don't know if you can see, but his little tongue kind of looks like a Pringle. Yep. So those who are not in the know, that's why we call them Pringle. And I really feel like people were attached to the original logo because it was the original. It was what started us. We were one of the founding members of the NWSL. It was iconic. Its color scheme was in line with the rest of the Seattle sports. And that felt very important to us because, we want to be seen as part of the Seattle sporting community. And the logo change and the color change was a little rough at the beginning, especially with us moving away from Seattle. It kind of separated us from the Seattle sporting atmosphere. But we've made a name for ourselves. Like I said, OL Reign has been working really hard on community involvement. So they've come back and started establishing themselves of hey, we are in Seattle. We are a member of your community. We are still here. Right. And I think kind of to your question about worries about a new owner, we've just spent so much time building this brand, working on making sure people know what the lion means. And if we change it, where does all that work go?
Right. So, have you guys had internal discussions about kind of persuading, even if the OL has to drop, maybe persuading them one way or the other to keep the branding, keep the logo, or?
We have not had access to that level of influence in the front office before. I don't know what you said earlier. If I have trade secrets, I don't have to share them. I unfortunately don't have any trade secrets.
Right.
So we are just as in the dark as everyone else, waiting with bated breath, though some folks we have talked to in the front office seem very excited about where we're headed, and they seem optimistic about the sale. So that gives us a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
But that's all we know.
So, so before we might end up having to say goodbye to Pringle, what does the crest mean? What is the symbolism behind it?
I don't actually know.
I saw in the media guide, I saw a whole bunch of bowls, and so I guess even to you, when you see
Yeah.
the logo, what does that speak to you? What does it say to you, even if it's not the official symbolism behind it?
So Be Bold was actually something that we were seeing before we
Mhm,
were purchased by the OL group and got the new logo and the new colors. So being able to keep that was really important to us. It was part of that identity as Seattle sports. This is who we are, the brave and the bold. And in relation with lions tend to symbolize being bold, being out there and strong. And I think that that still represents who we are.
mhm,
And as we move forward, whether we keep Pringle or if we get a new logo, maybe we return to the old logo. Uh, it's not going to change like the tenets and values of the core as a team.
mhm,
So regardless of where it heads, we're hoping to keep that thread alive
mhm.
and help it stay established so that no matter what we're called, no matter what our logo is, we are still the same.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's going to be important going forward, having to have that continuity and things like that. And I truly hope that you guys don't end up having to reestablish and rebuild and completely come from ground up. But it sounds like you have the ability to do that. That no matter what, the supporters group and the team are going to rise, and you're going to know who they are eventually, even if you don't know it yet. So um, all of that's all of that sounds very optimistic, actually, for the future. It's kind of a chance to make what you want to of it out there. So I can appreciate that. So that's all the off the pitch stuff. We talked about the atmosphere and everything else. Let's talk about on the pitch. Tell me about the style of play. Tell me about how, like, are they exciting to watch? Do we Are we going to see an attacking side? Are we going to see a defending side? Like, what is it like to watch them?
I think it's a ton of fun. I love watching OL Reign play. I honestly find the women's game in general more engaging
Hmm.
than men's games. Uh, the women tend to be more creative with the moves that they make. I find that when I watch at least the MLS soccer, which I watch occasionally, I'm not a hardcore fan.
Hmm.
Um, I find that they tend to, kick the ball really far and chase it. And
Yeah.
then the other team gets it and they kick the ball really far and then everybody chases it. Where the women are really creative with the passing or NWSL players, I shouldn't say women, there are many gender identities represented in our teams. Um, the NWSL game and the players, they move the ball in such creative ways. They're aggressive to
Hmm.
each other, but also not in such a way that I think that they're all angry at each other.
All right.
I feel like when I watch it, I'm watching a friendly competition. Even when people are really mad and it's been a frustrating game maybe for the players, there's still an air of respect
Hmm.
that I really value. And I feel like that's reflected in the audience as well. They're a very respectful audience. We're not yelling slurs or anything like
Fair.
that, which is super important.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as the play for OL Reign specifically, I think we're really good on both ends of the ball. We've got some star midfielders who are just workhorses. They are back and forth across the field. They have such a good passing game. And we have some forwards who just know how to place themselves. They know where they need to be and when they need to be. On the half of the ball, we have, our OG Lou Barnes, our captain for most games that she plays in, really holding down the back line.
Hmm.
But, she is an OG, so she's been playing with us for 13 years, which is
Yep.
a long time. So,
Yep.
you know, even if she retires or when she decides to retire, I think we still have a very strong back line. We've got Alana Cook back there. We have Sam Hyatt back there. People who are able to hold down the line and keep us together.
Hmm.
I think our defense is really solid. They're very good at staying calm when things are not going the way that they should be going. And they're really good about, working with our keepers to pass the ball back or make sure that they're, distributing across the field. So we do have a lot of OG players, the most in the league, I believe. Folks who've been with us for the whole time. We've got Jess Fishlock, Megan Rapinoe, and Lou Barnes. And, Rapinoe's retiring this year.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. I hope the rest of them don't retire. But if they do, I think we're a really strong young team that's coming up and has been, under the tutelage almost of these OGs, people who've been here for a while. Bethany Balser is another up and rising star. She has amazing headers. If the other teams would just stop fouling her, we could score so many times. She's a bit of a foul magnet. Yeah. But I feel like that's a representation of how dangerous the other team thinks that you are.
They and will foul you if they think they can't stop you.
Yep. So I feel really strongly that we've got a solid team up and coming. We have a solid team anyway. And even if you've watched any of the previous Challenge Cup games, we haven't been playing our starters for most of the Challenge Cup games. Like we've been starting with folks who may not usually have a chance to start. And I've been really pleased with the work that we've done. We are out of the Challenge Cup now, unfortunately, but our team's played well against other teams who were playing their starting lineup. So I think that speaks well about where we're at growing as a team with our young players' talent and ability to move the ball.
And honestly, with players like Fishlock, you're talking about the most capped woman in Welsh football.
Yeah.
And Megan Rapinoe, who everybody, even if you don't know soccer, you know her name. You have the mentorship there. You have the bringing up of the new class. And then I hate to throw the salt in the wound, but then you lose your keeper literally today. The trade came out. How are you concerned about that? And what have you got behind her? What about her backups?
Yeah, so we have Claudia Dickey and Laurel Ivory as backups. I guess first of all, I should say I'm so sad to see Peachy J go. I'm just so sad. We're all sad. We're in our little Discord being like, I can't believe, like we kind of knew it was coming because it was leaked, but we were like, oh, maybe not. Maybe she won't do it. I don't know. And we're of course happy for her. This is what she wanted. We don't know what was going on. Maybe it was the money. Maybe it was she's always wanted to live in Europe. Like we obviously don't know what was going on. So we're happy that she has this ability to move forward in her career, do something that she wants to do. We're so sad to see her leave.
What? Okay, so real quick before we move, what was with the octopus thing? The apoctopus? Apoctopus. What's the story behind that one then?
So PTJ has Fallon Tullis-Joyce, PTJ for short, has a degree in marine biology and is very into like local marine life, marine conservancy, conservation,
right.
And octopuses. And she did this little Twitter show probably about a year and a half ago where she talked about like different animals that lived in the Puget Sound and what they did and, just talked about them. And she made an offhand comment that the apocalypse was going to be caused by octopuses.
Okay.
And it got shortened she shortened it to apoctopus.
Nice.
And we ran with that and made a huge tifo that said PTJ's Apoctopus Army, and it was crushing a rose because we were playing Portland. And it won. It was cool. So
I can't imagine a better mascot for a keeper than an octopus with the 8 arms and the lack of any kind of spinal structure or whatsoever. You're everywhere and nowhere all at once. Yeah. So, but the idea that she still had the freedom to do that and get out in the community and was willing to do that, that's one of the things that really gets me about the players is they win your hearts on the pitch and then they win your hearts off the pitch. And as long as the players will continue to do that, I think you guys are going to be in a really good spot there. So the unfortunate, she is off to Manchester, and she is she is going to get to see what a Manchester winter is like. It might be a little bit like a Seattle winter, a little cold, a little rainy, a little like it is.
Yeah.
But what about the coaching staff? Let's get into them. What do you think of your coaching staff, and how is that going?
Yeah. Well, I think first, actually, you asked me what I thought of the
Oh,
backup.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I
No,
completely
it's all.
missed the backups. The octopus, the
Yeah,
octopus. So
it's so
absolutely,
engaged.
yeah. Let's go into the backups again.
Yeah, so Laurel Ivory and Claudia Dickey, they have really started. We really hadn't had an opportunity to see them play before these last few games because PTJ was just like such a solid lock-in starter, and so far we've been pretty impressed.
Mhm.
They've been doing a great job. They have a little bit better ball distribution. If not to criticize PTJ, but that's like the one thing that we were like, maybe she could work on. We've seen some really good moves from both of them, but I think we're still like, we've seen them 3 or 4 times at this point, maybe, and we've enjoyed watching them play. And I've actually run into their parents in the stadium. They'll like we table sometimes, and they'll come
Yeah.
up and say hi. Or Claudia Dickey's parents were like sitting behind me
Mhm.
one time, and they were like, "Oh, are you a member of the guard?" And we were like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, my daughter's playing." And I was like, "That's so cute. I'm so glad that you came out to watch this game." So that's been fun, and we're just really excited. We, of course, support the Reign in its entirety, and we're glad that they're getting this opportunity to step up and start being starters, and get into the big time.
So before the coaching, and I promise I will
Yeah.
remember this one this time. Um, do you interact with the players that much? Do you interact with the family? Like, is that a common occurrence where you'll see them out and about, or you'll see them in the families in the stands or anything?
So definitely to the families in the stands. It's they don't like advertise themselves in the stands. You just have to like be listening. You're like, oh, go Claudia! Like if they're cheering for
Yeah,
Claudia Dickey like the entire time, and they mention like, oh, I'm gonna tell her after the game. You're like, I think you'll be
probably.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I think the way that most people get to interact is the whole team is so generous and kind to come up to the edges of the stands after the game and sign autographs. Just PTJ in particular, we'll miss her. Uh, we used to call her a woman of the people because she would start at one end of the stadium and go all the way down every single game. She signed everything that you held out to her, which was amazing.
Yeah,
And the other players do similar things. They will come out, they'll take pictures, they'll take selfies, they'll sign your scarf, they'll sign. Somebody signed someone else's arm, and I was like, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. But the kids love it.
yeah.
A huge youth population at our games, especially represented when folks want autographs. They've been super engaged with that. I mean, I'm in like so many in the background of so many selfies now because we're just standing and they're like, so super engaged. They've also been really engaged in the community as well. OL Rain partnered with Rough and Tumble, which is the first sports bar dedicated to women's sports in Seattle. So didn't quite beat the sports bra from Portland, but it's a similar thing.
Right.
So they've done lots of collaboration events. That's where the team goes after games sometimes. Like there are opportunities to encounter them in the wild.
Right.
But I will say something that I also love about our fan base is that even if you do encounter them in the wild, people are just so respectful. They don't like mob them like, oh, take a picture with me. Oh, can you sign this? It's very like, let them live their lives, let them do their thing. And if there's an opportunity, maybe later you can ask, but maybe not.
Right.
And I've just always been super impressed with that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing for a supporters group to remember that that they are people too. You get there's a lot of toxic fan bases out there, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
usually a vocal minority. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can alleviate that, if you can get through that, and the players respond in
Yeah.
kind, that if you let me live my life, and yeah, I'm going to give you the selfie when you get to the stadium. We're gonna talk, and we're gonna sign things. Like that's a great player relationship. I love that about you
Yeah.
guys there having that. yeah, so now, like I promised, onto the coaching staff. Let's talk about them. What do you think of them? How are they? Is it pretty stable? What's going on with them?
We love them. We love all of them.
Mhm.
Um, and I do think they're in there for the long haul. We were a little worried when the U.S. national women's team coach was retiring. We were like, nobody better look at Laura Harvey. Like we were like glaring at the world through our computer screens, like stay away. And Laura herself released a statement just stating that at the time that she is in her life and where she's at, she is going to prioritize the reign, staying here in Seattle, continuing the team development that she's been working on for this last, couple years. Because she was our coach, and then she wasn't our coach, and then she was our coach again. And it's just so nice to have her back, have her here, and have her dedicated to bringing the game up.
So yeah, having her back and not having her leave for all of that. I imagine, especially as you have an ownership transition, that's going to be important to keeping the
Mm-hmm.
identity and to keeping the momentum of the team, no matter what happens to the logo. I imagine you're wanting to keep her, and Scott is the assistant, the head assistant there.
I think
Uh,
so.
yeah,
This is going to go to my, like, I'm still kind of new, and also I'm not really a stats person, so
fair.
I don't know who all of these coaches are. Sometimes they lead a chant, and I'm like, who's that? And they're like, oh, we're chanting against so and so's coach. I'm like,
Well, and
great. I can do
the
this.
important thing is you're there to support the team, and you're yelling and you're chanting. I've found that's the big thing. I don't know what I'm yelling for, but I'm yelling, and that as long as that enthusiasm can come out, that's how you get the supporters. That's how you solidify those supporters. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You can be that way, and like that, there's methods of support. So I'm not put off at all if you're not down. Hey, this person scored this goal in this minute. That's the thing. It's really the passion that's getting exuded, and that is very evident with the way you talk about the team.
I'm so glad. I also got into this because I like yelling at people. So now I can yell at people in a socially acceptable situation.
And I'm going to guess that the refs provide you with a great opportunity to do that. How is the refereeing from your perspective?
Well, this goes to I'm not the stats person, but I am friends with the stats person.
Yeah,
And we after the games like to talk, and they're the kind of stats person who's like, well, usually this ref is very good to us, but today they were bad, and they can say like they have a whole database for the entire
oh, yeah,
NWSL. It's like there were three red cards, or not red cards. There's almost never red cards. Three yellow cards during this game,
right.
and this ref gives an average of this many yellow cards per game. So they have a lot of details about that, and I get a lot of that. When we're just talking, having fun. And recently, I'll say there have been some questionable calls.
All the time. Of
So
course.
that's how I'm gonna put it. Um, some fouls that maybe weren't fouls, and some fouls that were fouls that they were just like, nah. I'm trying to get this to catch on. I made a new cheer about the refs.
Yeah.
To I don't like your girlfriend.
Okay.
Do you
Okay.
want to hear it?
Why not? Let's do it. Let's hear it. What do you got?
All right. Hey, ref, we don't like your call. No way, no way. You should make some new ones. Hey, ref, we don't like your calls. And then
Nice.
it is needed.
And something that I've learned too in the supporters group that I'm in is simple catches on. If
That is
it's catchy, if it's simple, if people will follow on and will catch on. I hope that one catches on because
me
it's
too.
right there. Um, we're not to the point of pulling the reverse card out on the yellow cards
I
yet or
saw
anything else like that,
I
right?
saw that.
Um,
That was hilarious.
but but no, I mean any of that creative stuff because the whole glasses bit and all of that that's decades. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. That actually because now that song's gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the
Oh,
night
good.
too. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it. All right, so we talked about the coaching staff. You love the coaching staff. You've mentioned a little bit about the community. What are you guys doing in the community as a supporters group? 'Cause you mentioned the Rain themselves do a little bit here and there. We know some of the players do. How are you guys getting out in the community and doing stuff?
So I think our main way is watch parties. We try to host them in as many locations as possible. We advertise them on our socials. We, just try to get it out there so that people can, even if they're like passively interested, just come by and see something. We have been working up to doing more of those like pre and post game parties. Someone on our team calls them post funks. Like apparently it's like a Pacific Northwest thing.
Yeah.
I grew up in the other side of Washington State, and I never heard that, so I'm a little dubious about if that's a real thing or not.
Right.
But that's what they call them. So we've got our pre and post funks. We also have been working really hard. We table at every game to just get folks interested, let them know like who we are. Something that we have maybe struggled with as an identity crisis is we sit right next to the band. So people think that we're the same as the band sometimes. And we're like, we're not the band, different. Like we work together because we are so small. Like we're only on half of the stadium.
Right.
So the band, we'll play a couple songs and then we'll do a cheer and then the band will play and then we'll cheer. So people tend to group us together, but we're not the same.
Well, real quick, tell me about that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard of like an actual band. I've heard of a drum line and I've heard all you have a band?
We have a whole band. They're called the Rain City Riot.
Okay.
The drum line plays during the game, and the rest of the winds and the horns will play like for when they do the goal kick. They'll be like, and then like they'll hit their little cowbell whenever someone heads it. So they're like,
that is beautiful.
It's really fun. Wow. So the band will play. Okay. They do drum sets.
Right.
Not a drum set, but like a song of drums on the drum line. Yeah. They've got a whole drum corps there, which is really fun. So they'll do a couple songs. They're pretty like, easy to jump and dance to. When we score a goal, the whole band does play our little theme song. I don't have it memorized. Don't ask.
But okay.
So they play that when we score, and then at the end of every game they play it. And because we're so close and there's just no way we can compete with each other for like noise level, we take turns. So we'll lead a chant for a couple minutes and then they'll play for a couple minutes and then we'll do something and then they'll do something. Some of the songs are collaborative, so they'll play and then we'll shout and then they'll play, at the appropriate times.
That sounds like amazing. Like I'm gonna guess the crowd, like even the non-supporters crowd, really gets into that.
I like to think so. We've been working really hard on doing chants that they can pick up.
Yeah.
So the one that the whole crowd has is just the like 3 claps, like make it rain, make it rain. As soon as we start that, the whole crowd is like, I know what to do.
Yeah, simple is good.
Yep. And we've been working on this whole stadium like call and response that has been creeping across the stadium all season. Like, it started with just like us doing it and then the band right next to us. And we've slowly heard it just like inching over as the year has gone on. And that's been really amazing. And I think it's a great split, honestly. It gives everybody a little break, the capos, of which I am one.
Anyway, give the capos a break and
get some water. Yeah. Drink, because we're not at the size where we can, as capos, we can stop singing. As soon as we stop singing, the crowd is like, do we stop? Yep. Like, are we not doing this anymore? So as the capos, when we're going, and we're jumping up and down and yelling and you're like, yeah, with our little microphones. And that can be very exhausting. Larger supporters group, even though they do cheer through the whole game, like the capos are not cheering through the whole game. They do like a couple verses to get everybody in the loop. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to take a drink of water, stretch, they'll join in, but it's not the nonstop that we have. We did actually do a nonstop for the big Portland game, the doubleheader where we played the Thorns and the Sounders played the Timbers back to back, which was really fun in June. And that was so hard. We were like kind of dying. We are not in shape to yell and jump and scream like that for 90 minutes.
My voice is gone after 30. So. I get it.
Yeah.
And but you're an important part of that stadium experience. You're an important part of getting all of that up. So I mean, it can't be understated doing that. But yes, it can be exhausting. I can see it in our own capos when I'm here that they're sweating and everything else. They're happy the 90 minutes is over when it
Yeah.
is, and pray it's not a cup tie where we're going to extra time. Uh, so I guess then the last little bit I'll get into with you then is how accessible is a match? If you're not in the Seattle area, how accessible is it to watch it? If you are in the Seattle area, how much does it cost to take a family out? Like, are ticket
Yeah.
prices good? Season ticket prices, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that it is super accessible insofar. So you asked two different questions. The first one is how accessible is it to watch it if you're not in Seattle and you're trying to watch it on Fox News 13 or is it on Paramount Plus? Honestly,
Paramount
NWSL
Plus.
the NWSL streaming rights have been, I'm going to say, hit or miss,
Right.
mostly miss. Um, I am glad that we have a streaming partner in Paramount Plus. I am glad that we've picked a solid streaming partner and are no longer switching every year. That's been nice. Watching, I loved that people could watch games on Twitch for a while, but that feels so unprofessional. And I really hope that the league and the television providers choose to put more importance on NWSL matches and games. I would like it to be more accessible and more accessible to, something. One of the reasons we picked the partner bars that we did is that they were willing to show the NWSL games and get Paramount Plus, and that's not something that every bar has or wants to do.
Right.
So would love for us to get a little more mainstream support from the media partners. But if you've got Paramount Plus, catch a game. We're on there. It's fun. As far as local, I think we're super accessible. Ticket prices. So ticket prices in the general admission supporter section. We have a special link. You can get tickets for $17.
Nice.
Oh, no ticket. It's not through Ticketmaster either, so you don't have to pay those ridiculous fees.
Right.
We probably shouldn't hear me. We probably shouldn't have me bashing Ticketmaster on this. Ticketmaster has some problems.
Yes, they do.
I have a lot of fees for an unknown reason.
Mm-hmm. I think if Taylor Swift can bash him, I think we're all right on this little bit here.
Okay, I don't know. Ticketmaster's going to come after me or something. Taylor Swift has lawyers. I don't.
Fair enough.
So cheapest you can get is $17. It is in the general admission supporters section. We technically have sections 122, 121, 122, and 123. Not full right now, so folks can spread out where they want. They can sit with their friends. They can sit with their family. They can sit and they don't have to stand the whole game if they don't want to, which is sweet. Tickets in the main stands a little more costly, but more like $20, $25. Much more affordable than any other Seattle sports team. Let me tell you, Kraken tickets are insane. They're insane. No. The price of a Kraken ticket, it blows my mind. So honestly, we're like one of the most affordable options, especially for the tier of sports we're playing. Like you can go to like a AAA game or, like the Seattle rugby team games. Those are great. Those are fun. I would not say they're on the same like national level necessarily just because of the supporter base in the States. I know the Rugby World Cup is going on right now, so I know there's like international support for this sport, but maybe not here as much. But there should be. They're great.
But the idea you're telling me is on any given Saturday, I can go and watch arguably the greatest women's players in between Rapinoe and Lavelle, and then whoever is visiting even some of the greatest U.S. players, and for approximately 40 times that I could go see Messi someday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is an accurate statement.
Fair
Honestly,
enough.
my supporters tickets, I am in the supporter section,
Right.
so it is a little cheaper because we have not the greatest seats. I think they come into like 195 a year for season tickets.
That's
So
not bad. Yeah.
super affordable as far as that goes. It includes an away game ticket to
Oh,
Portland. So like
of
this
course.
upcoming match, you could go for free or for a discounted cost, depending on if you got on the bandwagon soon enough or not.
Right.
Um, but there's a lot of options. It's transit to and from the stadium is mwah,
Yeah.
beautiful. We've got the light rail that goes in and out of there. We've got the trains. We've got the buses. You can walk. You can fly in from the airport and light rail directly to the stadium.
Okay.
It's very easy to get to. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful stadium. You get some gorgeous views. You get the sunset,
Yeah.
open air. It's generally good weather.
Yeah.
Recommend.
That is, yeah, that it sounds amazing, and I have spent a little bit of time going through Washington State,
Yeah.
Seattle. It's an amazing place. It's a beautiful place, and the people there are really, when they get into something, they really get into something. Uh,
Yes.
so it's really good to see that all of that comes out there. So it's accessible. It's easy to watch. They're doing pretty well in the table. They last year, I think, what they finished top of the table this year. They're
We
about
did.
mid range, but you're in the playoffs so far.
Last year when we did win, Laura Harvey came. I was capoing at the end of that game, and
Hmm.
Laura came over to our capo stand and like asked me for the microphone, and I was like, yes.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
gave her the microphone, and she led us in a cheer, and it was amazing.
So
Do you want to
can't.
hear it? I don't know.
Sure. Sure. If you've got it.
It was the call it or fee. It's like we won the league in Lumen Field. We won the league in Lumen Field. We won the league and we beat Portland. We won the league at Lumen Field.
Yes.
And it was amazing. It was like one of the
Oh,
best moments of my life. And then she left, and I was like, I just
and
handed a microphone to Laura Harvey.
she capoed for us.
She did.
She
Oh,
just capoed for us.
it was amazing.
Oh, that is
So
see,
good.
you don't. There are a lot of teams, even within the league, that you don't get, and as much access as we have in third division soccer here, that still the idea of our head coach coming over, grabbing the megaphone, and like broadcasting that out, it wouldn't shock me, but it would shock me at the same time,
Yeah.
right? So the fact that your team is willing to do that, uh, they love you, you love them, and it is very apparent from your stories there. That's
Laura
awesome. I love that story.
Laura Harvey also buys a couple memberships every year.
Yeah.
So we are a 501(c), we get our funding through membership, and you can do like a donation only membership, and she'll like buy like 3 memberships for $25 and be like, have a good year.
Oh,
It's
so
super cute.
so wonderful. That's great. So it again, it sounds like it's a fun place. Seattle's a great place to visit. Despite my consternation about the football team there, the American football team there, but uh, you've got the people, you've got the passion, you've got the players, all of those things. If you had to wrap it all up into, why should I be an OL Reign supporter? What would you say?
Because we're the best, obviously. It's just for all the reasons you said. Like, the atmosphere is good. The team is amazing. They're invested in the game. They're invested in their community. They're invested in us. They know we exist.
Yep.
You know, they come through. They do autographs every year. Bethany Balser is our number 8 player, right? So we created. Don't tell Disney that we did this. We created these little stickers of like BB-8 because it's Bethany
Mm,
Balser, but it's like the
hmm.
BB-8 robot, and we like gave it the little headband that Balser wears.
Oh,
Like we'll give them stickers and stuff,
yeah,
or we give Fallon like we have a PTJ's Octopus Army mug
yeah,
that we gave them. So like we interact. I think the vibes are good.
yep.
That's really like the number one thing I can say, and what I tell people is like the atmosphere in the stadium, it's competitive, but it's not aggressive to the point where you feel unwelcome. Our supporters group, our fans are super diverse and super welcoming, and they spend a lot of time making sure the area feels safe and welcoming for everybody who maybe knows soccer a lot or maybe doesn't know soccer at all. Um, I think that's probably the most important thing to me. And like, we as a supporters group do a lot of work. We make, a lot of signs and things that we hang up that show support for causes that we support and that the team supports, like trans lives matter and trans kids matter, and making sure that we're amplifying the voices of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, both on our team and in the fan base. We really want to make sure that we are a space where everybody feels welcome and a space where everyone who wants to watch soccer or watch football has a place to belong.
That's absolutely beautiful, and just seeing how you've come up in the 2.5 years from okay, coworkers dragging me along to really getting into it. That's what people can expect is if you give it a chance, you're gonna get into
What we whenever someone joins like the Royal Guard and starts to volunteer with us, because we have members who just join and stand and sing, and they don't volunteer in any activities, which is fine. We love them too. But when they start volunteering for things, we quietly hum Hotel California because we're like, you're never getting out of here.
never leave.
You can't leave. Sorry. You
Oh,
us.
and why would you want to if you've got an environment like that? Why would you want to? Day again with the Royal Guard supporters for OL Reign. Thank you very much for taking the time and talking to me and getting me encouraged. Like it's a great league and you guys have a class team. Whether or not I ultimately end up choosing to support you guys, there's definitely some massive respect. There's definitely some massive respect there, though. I appreciate the time and everything else. Do you have any place? Oh, where can we find you if we're looking for you on socials?
Yeah, so if you're looking for us on socials, you can find us at Royal Guard SG on anything you want to look on for us. So that's Twitter, that's Instagram, that's Facebook. Our email address is royalguardsg@gmail.com. Look us up. We're pretty cool. Yeah, we post opportunities to join us if you're local in the Seattle area or the Sound or the state of Washington or in the UK. We have a watch party in the UK. Just keep your eyes out, look us up. Lots of opportunities to join us. If you're even mildly interested, reach out. We love to talk to people,
Yes.
and we'll suck you in slowly.
like an octopus, just beautiful. Once again, Dave, thank you again for talking to me. So for anything else, this is where you guys can find me. rbpenguinmedia.com. You can email me at rbpenguinmedia@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, and absolutely, if you're in the Seattle area, go support local. Support your local club. They're there for you and your community. So, Dave, appreciate it. Everyone else, take care. Have a good day.
Nice.